How's it going, guys? Today it's going to be a little bit different. The camera comparison is going to be between the DJI Action 2 versus the Galaxy S21 FE. I've been bringing the DJI Action 2 around with me for traveling, capturing my vlogs, and do more of a finished or edited reel. And also today I want to give you the experience and difference between having a camera versus shooting it from your phone. Alright, let's do a quick microphone test. Testing 1 2 1 2. This is how it sounds like on a Galaxy S21 FE. Testing 1 2 1 2. This is how it sounds like on a DJI Action 2. Let's get the biggest obvious out the way. The phone is going to be more convenient. I can shoot videos, photos, I can edit it on the phone and basically upload it to all my socials. So it's a one-stop shop for everything. So yes, it does make sense to just have a phone and it can do all of it. Now there is a downside for that, because if you're doing all the vlogging, all the editing and stuff on your phone, that's gonna hit the battery hard, and you're gonna be doing a lot of messaging, like navigating around using Google Maps and communicating, doing all the normal stuff you also would do with a phone. So you would always need to carry a battery bank, which is something extra to carry. So if I want to carry something like an extra thing, would I carry an extra battery bank, or would I carry an extra camera for just vlogging? Now shooting with this camera is super tiny. As you can tell, I can put it in my pocket, my jacket pocket, my bag. It basically fits everywhere. And also, I don't normally shoot pictures, but for this comparison I will, even though I would already assume the pictures on the phones will just automatically look better, but who knows, I might be surprised. In this section, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of what I like and don't like about having an Action 2. The first thing is, this is a dedicated camera, so every time when I want to shoot something or think about it, I could just grab for this and not worry about grabbing my phone all the time. So when I'm vlogging or when I want to grab a clip, I can just grab this camera. I don't have to turn on the phone and potentially be distracted by some random notification or answer a friend's text or anything. I just know that I am ready to shoot and capture that specific moment. Another pro I mentioned earlier is it's super small. So when I'm out here shooting, I don't feel as weird or as awkward. So that's a big pro. And since this is a small device, I can basically shoot anywhere. I can put it into places where a phone can't usually go. And also this is really modular, so I can mount it through these different devices or little gadgets where I can have a necklace, I can put it on a sticky mount and put it anywhere, practically put it on a car, on the outside of a car, things like that, which is much more useful and handy. But that is very situational though, so it's not something I would use all the time. The next thing is SD cards. I know that if I run out of memory, I can always buy an SD card, swap it out, and keep shooting. Next thing is the battery, which is both the pro and con. The pro part is I can just swap it and buy multiple batteries. The con is that it's pretty expensive, and this device kind of runs out of battery fairly quickly if you are vlogging all day. I would say the biggest con about this thing is how it gets hot while shooting for a long time. So for the most part, for me, I would recommend just shooting little bits and pieces here and there, just capture little moments. But if you are planning to use this to shoot long segments, like anything after 10 minutes, I would highly not suggest this for you. Oh, there is one last con I want to mention, is that's HDR footage. Now with the camera like this, you don't get super good HDR. See how dark I am right now in a bright sky? Usually with the phone like this, actually let me try to put it side by side for you guys. As you can tell, I am exposed, the sky is a bit overexposed, but still, you can see me and that's more important. And now I am shooting with the back camera with the phone, so you can clearly tell a big difference. So that's another thing to think about. All right, let's move on to the pros and cons about using a phone. First, like I mentioned earlier, you can do everything on it. And also it does offer more modes. For example, like I'm using dual recording mode right now. You can see what I'm seeing and you can see me. So that's something people can use and take advantage of, but it's not something people would always use. And this is video portrait mode, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't say people would always use this, but it is handy to have. Now let's talk about the cons of shooting with the phone. First is the size. People can actually see what you're doing. It's more eye-catching, so you will get more looks. The next thing I'm gonna mention isn't really a con, it's more inconvenient. It's when you're shooting yourself. That's when you need more gear, like a tripod to carry around with you. It's more cumbersome because you have to set it up and it takes a while to set up your shot. And also you might be carrying more gear to do specific things like a phone gimbal and all that. All right, since Freewell sent me a bunch of their filters for the Action 2, I want to go over them really quickly. These are ND filters and they are basically sunglasses for your camera lenses. Most of the time you do want to use these when you are outdoors trying to cut down the sun and keep that natural motion blur. A lot of cameras nowadays, they do have automatic settings, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because if you do want that natural motion, you do have to set your shutter speed lower. And basically the rule of thumb of that is shooting double of your frames per second. So if you're shooting 30 frames per second, you do want to set it at 1/60. Now, if you're shooting with those settings outdoors, your image is going to be super bright and overexposed. So that's where these come in handy. These filters do have numbers on them. The higher they are, the stronger they are. So for example, this one is ND8 and you can see a little bit of myself. You can tell that I am a bit darker. Now, if I change it to, let's say, ND32, it's going to be much darker. And I do have on its own separate little filter pack the ND1000, which is for very long exposures and you can barely see anything. But this one is very specific. If you do want to do really low shutter speed stuff, this is the one to get. But normally, I feel like a lot of people, for the normal average user, one of these other day pack features, the bright pack or the day pack, they are perfect for basically the regular consumer. Now there's one filter I would use the most and probably keep on most of the time, and that is the CPL filter. The first reason I like using this is it's basically a lens protector, and knowing that DJI Action 2 doesn't have one, this is a great choice to get. And two, this is a polarizer. You can get rid of some of the glare off of screens or like little reflection like on glossy materials or surfaces, things like that. It helps a little bit. So why not just keep it on? Now there's one con that I don't like about this whole system, and it's the case. It has nothing to do with the filters at all. It takes super long to put it back in. I would have to really use force, try to just like make sure it's in its slot. The whole cushioning system is very annoying and I don't like it at all. I feel like instead of just having these cushioning like slots, it could be better just have some sort of magnetic feature to it. I can just snap it back in, take it out easily. It's really more, it's satisfying. I feel like with this system, it slows down the shooting experience. So that's the only con I have about the system overall. All right, here are my thoughts using these two cameras today. I like both. Honestly, I would use both at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but knowing their pros, that's where I would use it. For example, if I'm vlogging outside or talking to the camera and stuff, I would want to use the Action 2 because it's smaller, it causes less eyes to look at me, and I'm just more comfortable with it. Now, where the DJI Action can't fill like low light stuff because it looks super dark and sometimes too noisy, I would prefer to shoot it with the phone. And then I would just add in together all my footage on my computer, edit it into one video. And also, like I've shown you, HDR spots where when I'm shooting behind a window or even inside of a car, I would prefer to shoot it on a phone than DJI Action 2. So know where these cameras perform the best and use them in that scenario. But if I were only to choose one, it would have to be the phone because it can do everything on it already. It is cheaper to buy the stand, the car mounts, the gimbals, everything for the phone than buying a new camera. And it also depends on the situation, because if I'm at a bar with friends and we're doing like a big cheers, I have to decide that if I want to share this moment right now, then I would use the phone. But if I want to capture it and put it into a montage B-roll and into my vlog, then I would capture it with the Action 2. But at the end of the day, I can still do that with the phone. So that's why I would recommend the phone and get that first, then the DJI Action 2 if you can. Next up, I will be comparing the S21 FE to the iPhone 13 Pro, like I said before in my last video. So yeah, I'm sorry this is like a random comparison, but I just want to see myself and let you guys know who are in the same situation, how it is to have an action camera versus a phone. So thanks for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. Come back to check out some more comparisons. and I'll see you guys later.